Hey, this is Kelly at the Fort Wayne Railroad. I am standing outside our newest acquisition. This is Nickel Plate Pullman No. 1. This was the private car of the Van Sweringen brothers. They were the owners not just of the Nickel Plate, but of an incredible railroad empire. Let's get on board and take a look.
From Buffalo to Chicago, from Cleveland to St. Louis and Peoria, and such cities as Ashtabula, Erie, Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, Kokomo, place names that spell America. Today, the Nickel Plate Road is inseparably a part of the territory it serves, integrated into the pattern of its industry, its agriculture, and its way of life.
So vintage railroad equipment is a lot like art in a museum, is that you can read about it and you can see photos of it, but to really truly appreciate it, you've got to see it for yourself in person. So this is the next best thing. This piece of art in particular has a solarium lounge, which is where the railroad management and their guests would retire after dinner, or where they would be present on inspection trips. A car like this has an observation platform, and you can put seats out there to observe the railroad, to check out customer locations, check out where customers might be locating their industries on your railroad. This is where you might convince a customer to locate on your railroad if you were a manager for the Nickel Plate Road once upon a time. So a solarium lounge, so named because of the generous windows that allow sunlight to come in, has lounge seating and has a couch here that actually folds into a bed. This is where I slept last night waiting for the car to be shipped to Fort Wayne. A solarium lounge would typically have a telephone, there are buttons and controls on the wall. You can monitor the air brake pressure of the train back here, and there is a Westinghouse speedometer here on the wall to allow you to gauge how fast the train is going at any point in time during the trip. As we continue the tour, we'll stop first at the secretary's room in Suite D. Now this is a very common Pullman suite setup with our buffet table and our seats. This actually transitions into a bed, and the upper berth will fold down as well and turn into a bed. So this is where the staff would ride. Van Sweringens had their own dedicated secretary that would ride with them everywhere. And of course, a room like this has your traditional private room amenities. There's a sink, there's a toilet. So as you look around a room like this, there are a lot of beautiful details, even though this is just a staff member's room. But the brass fixtures, all the ornamentation, obviously the light fixtures are a dead giveaway of this car's origin. As we continue on here into Suite C, now this is one of the Van Sweringens master bedrooms, and these rooms are actually connected here with the water closet in between. And before we go check those out, I'm going to point out that the upper berth here and the lower bed, this bed is permanently affixed in this position, so it doesn't fold up in any way, shape, or form. This is not meant to be a room that you would sit in and ride in for any great deal of time. We are so lucky that the interior of this car is really remarkably preserved, but water has intruded around the windows on this side of the car, and it is shown in every one of these bedroom windows where the seal around the window has failed. And this is very common in Pullman cars especially, so this is one area we'll be focusing on during the restoration. Each one of these steel side sheets has got to be repaired. All of these interior bedroom walls have to come out and be repaired. Now, if I were one of the Van Sweringen brothers, I could walk here into the passageway, have easy access to this dedicated water closet and to the shower here, which has a small tub basin in it as well. As we continue into the hallway that connects both the rooms, I want to point out some of the additional ornamentation. All of these are so remarkably intact. It's so fantastic that all of these pieces remain as they were when Pullman installed them. To look at the Pullman builders photos, other than the paint and some of the color changes, everything in here is as it was when Pullman constructed it. All right, from here we enter the dining room. Now this was so much more than a place to eat. Railroad executives hosted formal meals with customers, civic leaders, government officials, and guests while traveling the railroad. Some of the most important conversations would be had over dinner en route from town to town, city to city, destination to destination. Behind the dining room are the crew accommodations. This is where the porter and chef would sleep. But as we continue into the kitchen here, this is probably one of my favorite spots in the entire car because it still has the original coal stove. So meals cooked in here would be heated by this coal stove, very generous refrigeration space, and this serving area here. So as the chef prepared the meals and served them up, the staff could then take them out here on this countertop. And as we walk out here into the vestibule, a nice little giveaway of the car's heritage is visible here in some of the paint that's been scraped away. Underneath you can see the blue Kevlar paint from the Norfolk and Western days and the maroon Norfolk and Western paint on this car, evidence of its heritage before it was repainted again in the Pullman green color that it carried on the Nickel Plate Road. So on the dining room table here are blueprints for the car. We've collected the Pullman drawings for this car when it was built. The details are really exquisite. They even mention which drawer here in the shelves is the cigar drawer. One of them was exclusively reserved in the builder's diagrams for cigars. And as I look at these drawings here on the table, I can't help but think about the conversations that the Van Sweringens and others would have had about the Advisory Mechanical Committee. That was the group formed to create standards and practices common among the railroads that the Van Sweringens owned. The Nickel Plate, the C&O, the Paramarquette, etc. These common approaches standardized practices across all their railroads, and of course we're responsible for creating the 284, the Berkshire design. And the 765, the Nickel Plate road engine that we operate, is a perfect example of that design. Now, we've been looking after the opportunity to take possession of Nickel Plate Road number 1 for over 10 years, so this is a very special opportunity for all of us at the Fort Wayne Railroad Historical Society. It's one thing to have one time machine like the 765, but to have a fleet of them next to preserving the history, culture, and traditions of American railroads is preserving the golden age of railroading, what it was like for passengers to ride aboard a train in the 1940s and 50s before the decline of American railroading in general. So to have Pullman passenger cars from this era, to be able to have the opportunity to put people on them for recreational purposes, for educational purposes, to be able to bring joy to people aboard this fascinating equipment is really special to us at the Fort Wayne Railroad, and it's part of our mission and vision, which is to put people in touch with this era and give them a visceral, entertaining, joyful experience aboard equipment and rolling stock in history that they may not think about otherwise, or who may not have cared about it before they encountered it. In addition to all of the anticipated repair work to stop water intrusion and roof leaks, etc., we anticipate replacing the entire electrical system, the HVAC system, the plumbing, etc., to make this car dependable, and that, at least at a bare minimum, will cost between $280,000 and $300,000. We've been very fortunate already to raise over $75,000 in private donations and a grant from the Olive B. Cole Foundation locally in Fort Wayne, Indiana. If you'd like to learn more about this incredible car and its history and support us, you can go to fortwaynerailroad.org, check out the entire press release, and check out the opportunities to donate online or to mail your contribution through the post office. This is an opportunity to preserve another chapter of the golden age of railroading, not just for passengers, but to preserve a piece of railroad management and to preserve an element of this incredible railroad empire that shaped everything that came after it. Something that's also very special is that a car like this, once upon a time, was only accessible to VIPs, to bosses, to managers, to customers. You kind of had to be somebody to be on a car like this. But on our trains, a car like this is open to anybody and everybody. So we look forward to combining Nickel Plate number 1 with the rest of our first-class fleet and allowing people to experience the golden age of railroading in Northeast Indiana.
Every time we help a passenger, every time we punch a ticket, every time we handle a shipment, every time we serve a meal, public impressions are formed of us as railroaders, good, bad, or indifferent. 17,000 nickel platers know this, collectively and individually. They know it means loss or gain of the public's respect, on which depends the prosperity of the company as an operating railroad and their own security as nickel platers. For today, as always, good public relations means good business. We have had a glimpse of the territory served by the Nickel Plate Road. It is a land good to have been born in, good to come to plant family roots, to establish and develop industry and commerce. This has been the story of that land, Midland, USA, in terms of the work it does and the life it leads. A part of that story, small or large, but we believe a significant part, has been and will continue to be the Nickel Plate story.